of Mohamed Mirandi, talking about how Israel has become an investor's liability. Basically, all the spending and profligacy of Israel does not attract foreign investment anymore. And with me to discuss that is Mustafa Jinadu. I'm still Afolabi. Welcome to another political show.
Yeah, so we're going to look at the fact that this war that Israel and the U.S. initiated and were so hell bent upon starting upon Iran has backfired to them and has caused them to fall into a trap where the United States economy will struggle, but will get through. But the longer this war goes on, the more likely it becomes that Israel will become almost to the point of a failed state that's going to need a lot of foreign aid to rebuild after this war because of the economic damage done, not just because of the pummeling and bombing, but because of all of the high tech workers they're going to lose. And they're going to lose a lot of money from investors because they're going to see that that region is unstable. The war has been going on for 12 days at a rate of every week. So it's been going on for 2 or 3 weeks. Every week, Israel is spending $3 billion. We want to look at the numbers if this war goes to November, which is what Iran wants. Iran doesn't want this war to end, and clearly Israel doesn't want it. I think the only one who wants it to end is the U.S. If this war goes to November, Israel might spend up to 750. No, they will spend from anywhere between 750 billion to $1 trillion. Now we have to remember that's going to be 10% of their GDP, and they'll have zero economic growth if it goes all the way to November. If it goes to November, what you will see happen also, and if it continues extending, is tech workers who are living in Tel Aviv, Haifa, are going to leave. These are people who are used to a life of driving in expensive cars. Haifa and Tel Aviv look good. They're not going to stay somewhere where they're in danger because as the war continues, and as it seems likely that Israel's defense shield is totally obliterated, Iran will just be able to freely put missiles there. And the more damage Israel and the U.S. do to Iran, Iran will move away from just attacking buildings that are strategic to attacking where civilians are. So you'll see that civilians who can leave will leave, and that's going to destroy the productive base of the country. A lot of people say they can work remotely, but the thing is that you're working remotely for companies. You're not bringing any revenue into the country, and also investors are going to say, no, we can't invest in Israel. The AI guys who are in Israel, they'll leave and go to America, go get citizenship elsewhere. Companies will not want to invest. And what will happen at the end of this day is that Israel will be no different from, and I'm not exaggerating, they'll be no different from Yemen or Lebanon in that it's just a piece of land with absolutely no monetary value because all of its monetary value is based on AI and tech workers who will leave. And even if they stay there, the infrastructure there will not allow for production of those types of qualities and goods because we know that these things are energy intensive. So this is a war that we wonder why Israel is in it. Israel says it's for their existence. But if you look at game theory, you have to tolerate the existence of countries that you think are a threat to you until they actually strike you. Iran had never struck Israel. They still, because they say death to Americans, Israel must not exist. That's just rhetoric, which has been going on for years based on the Iran-Iraq war, which Israel and the U.S. helped put Iraq against Iran. So my thing is that if you look at it, especially since this guy stepped down from the U.S., Kent, Iran is not a direct existential threat to the U.S. They're not a direct existential threat to Israel. This war has now turned them into an existential threat. And the question we want to ask the Israeli people is that how long do you want to continue living under the ground? How long do you want to continue living with missiles pummeling all over you? And don't you think it might be wise to just acknowledge that Iran may not be your friend, but you need to have some sort of ceasefire or agreement, or else you're going to stop existing? Last year, over the 12-day war, you tapped out and Donald Trump bailed you out. And then rather than accept peace, you built up again thinking you'd be able to beat Iran in a day. It's not going to happen. And now, if you come with a ceasefire to Iran, Iran has said they don't want to end this war. Their goal is to continue going because now they want literally to make sure that Israel and the U.S. are no longer a threat. I think what that means is at the end of the day, there's going to be security guarantees and U.S. and Israel are going to have to leave them alone. But the longer this war goes, the longer Iran is going to be motivated to absolutely defeat Israel with its partners, Lebanon, because there's a war going on between Lebanon and Israel too. Israel's fighting a war on two fronts, which is why they're spending $3 billion a week. You're fighting Lebanon. The Houthis haven't even jumped in yet. They're smoking their ganja, saying, "Boss, tell us when to jump in. Tell us when to jump in." The Houthis haven't even jumped in because Iran said, "No, my brothers, you don't have to die for us yet. We already have this, but we'll let you know when it's time for you to come in." And we all know what the Houthis did to America last year. Trump tried to beat the Houthis. After 12 days, he said we won, and he left. Houthis haven't jumped in Lebanon and Syria. So the question is, Israel, you want to fight a war on two fronts that's costing you $3 billion a week. The money doesn't add up. And we know, I thought we know where Israel gets those billions anyway. They get
Of
it from
course
the
we do.
U.S.
From the
And
US,
right
yeah.
now in the U.S., people are looking at the price of gas and they're like, Trump, it's time to walk away. The head of the counterintelligence, or the number two, can't step down. So the writing is on the wall. Americans aren't going to continue funding this war. And then Israel will be by itself. So all I'm saying is Israel, you know what they say in the land of Hebrew, let's just have shalom. Does shalom mean peace? Yeah, I think so. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
it
I follow
does.
you.
It does. Shalom
Yeah,
is
shalom.
peace.
Shalom, my guys. Let's end this shit. Enjoy your food, enjoy your AI and stuff. And don't worry about Iran. Also, you can tell the press you won. You won. You beat Iran, so end the war now. All right, I follow you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so basically, we are right about that. I mean, Israel's reputation has been brutally shattered, you know, and the idea that Israel is a safe haven for technology has been eroded completely. And if you look at the theory here is like the cost of warfare, the asymmetrical cost of warfare. You know, you're defending against cheap drones. You require billions of dollars in interceptors to defend against these cheap drones. So, and this is unsustainable for Israel. I mean, you just reeled out the figures, $2.9 billion weekly loss. You can't sustain this over a long period. Even if they decide to be conservative and step it down to $1.5 billion, they're incapable, you know, of sustaining this over
And
the
also,
long
I thought that
term.
that number is going to rise as the war goes on because more stuff will be needed. The numbers
Sure,
will
sure.
lost.
They're going to have more demands. So the
Yeah.
numbers are going to rise. So basically, this is an economic death sentence, as it is put. And this basically discourages foreign capital. I mean, investors are not going to be attracted to a place that is unsafe. Investors are not going to be attracted to a place where the capital is unsafe. So basically, this doesn't help Israel in any way. And if you look at it, there have been internal shutdowns, you know, to keep civilians safe. You know, basically, these were done as a result of self-inflicted economic wound. If the government continues, you know, in this on this trajectory, what I see here is that the economy is going to melt down gradually because
Yeah.
they have been relying on the magnanimity of the U.S. You know, basically to continue to see this out. If you look at some of the uh, argument here, is that basically what Israel has been doing is that they have been using money from America to do most of what they're doing, and they're recruiting young Israeli soldiers for most of these activities. They're going to have a meltdown in their workforce. Their labor force is going to, you know, go down. And once labor force goes down, productivity goes down. So basically, no matter what their GDP is, they are not going to be able to sustain, no matter how prolific their productivity is, they are not going to be able to sustain this kind of loss over the long
No.
term. So
It,
I don't know why
it's,
they keep doing this, but the handwriting is on the wall.
they have to
Foreigners are
have
not going to come here.
400,000.
Capital
They'd
is
have
going to
to,
be flighted out.
and the human capital, they're going to have to recruit 400,000 soldiers. Meanwhile, countries like Russia and Iran, which have hundreds of millions of people, while they're doing wars, they still have people in the labor sector. Israel will have nobody, will have a very small labor sector. It's already a country which doesn't have an industrial base anyway, and which is being propped up by American money. So I wouldn't, if I were them, I would think about getting out of this. And the last thing, the world is losing 20% 20% of its oil reserves every day because of the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. That's going to affect the whole global market and everything, including the U.S. and the West, and lead to a less uh, stable structure for Israel to be cradled by as a little baby, since we know that they're the child of the West.
Yes,
I came up with that. That was a good
they are
one.
being nursed by the US.
mommy, there's no milk in your breast. I know. Go ahead. Is the leg Hormuz? And then the last part, and this is going to be the most expensive part, and we don't want to see anti-Semitism. What will happen is after all of this is over, Europe, America, and everybody are going to say who caused this, and everybody's going to look at Israel. It's already started in America. The American politicians like Kent stepped down as counterterrorism, and people are saying that this we went to this war for Israel. So when the world is in ruins, people are going to blame it all on Israel, and you're going to see a backlash on them. So I'll end with that. What are your thoughts? You can take us out of our quick last thoughts, and we'll move on. Yeah.
Yeah, and the US and Israel have crossed the Rubicon. Basically, Iran is now an angry animal that can't be tamed. So a simple ceasefire is no longer in Iran's agenda. They want to alter the new world order, where Western and Israeli
Radically.
strategic impunity is neutralized completely. So there's no way they can stop Iran now. Iran is irate. They want to change the status quo, basically. That's just what I feel.
Yeah.